Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Peterman's Presents podcast. My name is Ben Moser, as you know, and today I am absolutely delighted to be chatting with a friend of mine who I find very inspirational, runs an amazing business. So I'd like to introduce you all to Annabelle.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's been a really busy day so far, and now I'm even more excited to be able to have a practical demonstration of Annabelle's amazing business, which I will let you introduce.
Yeah, so I run a business called Crafty Jezebels, which is a eco-resin company. So I run workshops for people and companies, individuals, but I also sell bespoke kits, which I've designed myself. So I do both sides of the company, which is the kind of product side and then the service side.
And you are doing very well out of it as well.
Yeah, it's grown really quickly. I started it last year in January alongside my teaching job, and then I left within 6 months of starting it because it grew really quickly.
Yeah.
It's had loads of potential, and I've taken on about 3 or 4 teachers now.
Wow.
So I've got a kind of little fleet of kind of freelancers who help me out with running the workshops.
That's so cool. And my wife, Jazz, actually has done one.
Yeah, she loved it.
Absolutely raved about it. So
her and her friends were amazing.
Oh, well, that's good. We still have the 2 things that she
Everybody
made.
makes a piece, and then they'll send me a picture of where it is in their home. It becomes like their newborn, and they have it somewhere like with their jewellery on it or like a plant. It's like
Jewellery is what.
Yeah, it really like becomes a pride, like it gets
pride and joy.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't promise that what I make is going to be that.
It will. You'll surprise yourself.
Well, we'll find out. But I guess before we start that, or actually whilst we're doing it, because you've given me a brief,
yes.
So let's see if I remember it.
So you're gonna put this into here slowly. So you're gonna mix the powder into the acrylic liquid.
Very good.
Smushing and stirring as you go.
And stirring. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, tell me a bit about how it started, because obviously going from teaching into this is like completely different.
Yeah, I mean it is and it isn't. So it actually started off with the workshop. So I was pregnant with my second son, and I wanted to do something creative at home. And I live in a little 2-bed flat in Brixton.
Yeah.
And as a craft, this is really compact and really eco-friendly. Originally, I just bought a piece like this on Etsy.
Right.
It arrived, and then I didn't like it, so I decided I'd buy a kit, because I'm one of those really annoying people that's just like, I'm just going to keep making until it's right. So I did that sort of 4 or 5.
That's not annoying, by the way.
It just felt like my husband was like, "You've already purchased it. Why do we now have a kilo of it in our house?" So I basically just started crafting in the evenings while my son Bruce slept. And then I sort of thought, I'm one of those people, as soon as I get an idea, I sort of like run with it really, really quickly.
Right.
This would make a really fun workshop. I got good at it really quickly. Everyone that does it is really impressed with their results.
Yeah.
So then I started looking for a few different locations in South London.
Okay.
Around the area, sort of Herne Hill, Streatham, Brixton, to run an evening workshop.
Okay.
And I kind of had to work backwards from that workshop. So once I got a workshop, I realised I needed a website to sell tickets through.
Okay.
So then I had to build a website, which took like far too many evenings and far too long. But then that website kind of became the portal for the business. So I then got picked up really quickly by a PR company who I think my like search engine optimization or something, some keywords basically like crafts and mindful, got me basically a really good gig with a PR company for Katie Loxton. So I did like a big Mother's Day event for her.
Wow.
And that kind of opened my eyes to the fact that there was a lot of business out there for kind of a mindful, quick, eco, attractive craft.
Yes.
So I went back to school, and then I carried on running the workshops. You need to put a bit more powder in there. So I went back to school and carried on growing the workshops, and I kind of just had more workshops than I could keep up with.
Yeah.
So I sort of decided that summer that I would leave school and just do the business full time.
Wow.
So I just took the leave. And I guess teaching is one of those careers where you can always go back to it, and you can sort of dip your foot in and out should you need to.
Do you think you would go back now?
No.
Could you go back now?
No, every time I see a group of kids, I'm like super triggered, especially if like there's a teacher at the
Not
front.
a group of children in your own house.
No, not mine too. If I see a school trip happening or something, I'm like, oh gosh.
Paperwork.
I mean, I'm planning to go back into schools to do after school clubs.
That's a great one.
But the plan is that I'll recruit lots of lovely teachers or TAs to run them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of really like equitable, and everyone gets to kind of benefit.
Yeah.
But no, I feel like I'm definitely out of teaching now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in a way you are, but then you're now just teaching adults.
Which is basically the same thing. It's
just... So when that all started to take off,
Yeah.
what then gave you the idea of doing it in the venues that you do it in? Because obviously that's for newer people to this. And obviously I haven't done it, but as I say, my wife has done. So you pick venues to host it.
Yes.
And then people get a drink with it. And
So what I wanted to do
social
was
element as well.
I wanted to work with local businesses that maybe had like sort of dead quiet spots during the week.
Right.
So sort of middle of the week, a lot of things like wine bars and the Bedford, where I think Jazz did her workshop. You know, these kind of like lovely pub venues. They have a space. They've got a demand for people that are looking for kind of not alcohol-based activity. It's a really nice thing as well to be able to do it in a space where people sort of are looking for something. They've been looking for a craft activity in their local area, but it doesn't already exist.
Yeah.
And it actually really works well for my business model, so I don't have to rent the space. It's
Yeah.
kind of equitable. I bring business in, so I get the space for free, and they're able to kind of put their product or their service out there, like their great wines or beers. That looks absolutely perfect.
Fantastic.
So you're going to
split... A natural at stirring things.
So split half of it in there for me, and you're going to choose a colour you like, squeeze a bit in, and then we're going to put chips into the other one.
I see.
And then we'll go from there. Yeah, that looks good.
Look at that, I can even do half measures.
So it's just been really nice, like finding, and also a lot of places that I would go to where I would have loved to go to a craft workshop.
Yeah.
So I did them at like Peckham Levels or in some gift shops in Brixton. It's nice to put things on. Are you undecided on your colour?
No, I'll go with blue. I like blue. I'm going to go with the gender stereotype, boys with blue, right? So
so just put a drop in exactly. And then you're going to stir that up. That'll give you a lovely...
stirring.
I know.
I can tell you used to be a PT. Lots of stirring, isn't it?
It's kind of like cooking as well, which I think appeals to a lot of people.
Yeah.
As a craft, it's not sort of like super dexterous, like, needlework or embroidery. Yeah. And it's, if you're impatient, which I am, and most people are generally today, it's not like pottery where you've got to wait for it to be like fired. You get it on the day.
Yeah.
Working with all the local businesses has been great because...
It's a really good idea.
Especially being from like the area like around Brixton, Herne Hill area, it means that you sort of know a lot of the demographic that you would like to kind of engage in these activities.
Yeah.
And a lot of word of mouth helps sort of one public workshop become a couple of birthday parties or a hen do or like a team Christmas do. So I get a lot out of working in my local area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have like an ideal customer? Or is that the beauty, is that actually it can literally be anybody that
do you know what? Like, you don't get sick of it because I'll be doing a hen party one weekend and then the next weekend it'll be an 11th birthday and then it'll be like a corporate Christmas do. So you sort of get a mixture of everyone to work with, and also everyone's a very different customer.
Yeah,
they need different things from me. They enjoy it differently. I love the public workshops. I really like going into teams where people haven't necessarily chosen to craft and they've got a kind of predisposition that maybe they're not crafty or they don't enjoy making things, and then seeing that change in a workshop. So beautiful. So then in here, pick a little handful of these chips and then stir those in, and then you've got your two mixes to pour into your mould.
I see.
So we sort of compare this one to like a pancake batter, and this one's a bit like a coleslaw when we're using cooking.
It does look like coleslaw.
Yeah, exactly. So put a bit more in. Let's have a look. Yeah, get a bit more in, and then we're going to pour into our mould.
Strong.
Yeah, there's no dream customer. I sell kits, and the kits do really well with kind of families.
That's right. So another part of what your business has is the like literal direct to consumer.
Yeah.
That's something that I find really interesting with how you've taken the business, is that actually, I guess people probably think the direct to consumer route would be the one that is most easily kind of an easy revenue stream, as it were.
Yeah.
But yours is so much about you, and obviously your lovely teachers that you have as well. Yeah. So much of your personality comes through with it, because it's very you, all of this stuff. But that direct to consumer sort of thing, it's quite a business focused thing, and you've always said to me that you don't feel like you're always a business person.
No, I think previously when I've worked for myself, I've sort of realised quickly that the bit about running my own business is the people. So I like the community, and like the making money bit isn't, like as essential. Yeah. Now I've got a young family, it's like a totally different.
money.
So
you want to go to school, do you, kid?
Exactly. It's like I need to retire before I'm 90. It definitely, as well as like motivated me to kind of build that side of the business up a lot quicker. Yeah. And also because I'm in charge of all the branding and the packaging, I can put my personality into it through the instruction cards and through the kind of little videos online. Yeah. And also, it's nice having that kind of more passive income.
Yeah, sure.
So having like the kits, like I was really lucky the kit went into the Guardian gift guide over Christmas.
That's right. That was the big... would you say that's the biggest thing that pushed the business forward?
Yeah, definitely. I think it definitely put me out there and gave me this kind of like stamp of approval.
That's so cool.
And that turned my flat into a warehouse basically overnight.
Yes.
But it made me realise that side of things, I'd love to get stocked. Yeah. I didn't really ever think about this side of the business.
Okay.
and I don't want to work forever. So getting stocked or kind of getting in onto a few online stores would mean that I can flip around how I work in the business.
Yeah.
Which would be great.
Yeah.
Give me more time with my kids and sort of less kind of commuting to workshops.
That's the next question I kind of wanted to ask, because obviously for anyone that's looking to start a business,
Yeah.
I guess the hardest thing is factoring in the change in lifestyle.
Yeah.
And obviously for you'd already had that from being a personal trainer,
Yes, yeah.
having already been a teacher, going
Yeah.
back to teaching,
Yes.
and then that. From your kind of mental health side of things, did you find that was quite tricky to navigate? Because it's a big shift quite a few times.
Yeah, definitely. I think going back to being self-employed in the family setting was completely different to doing it like single, let's say, because I was doing it in order to kind of create more time for my kids and also more time for me. I didn't want to commute anymore. I wanted to work from home, and I wanted to be able to like take holiday when I wanted with my kids and with my husband, who like works shifts in the hospital. The decision was almost easier this time. It kind of made more sense. Even though there was more at stake, I kind of had more reason for it to work.
Sure.
So you put a bit more effort into the kind of like a takeoff to make sure it runs a bit smoother. So it feels like it is really, really daunting. And I have loads of friends who are kind of sitting on the fence about changing career, especially while they've got young families. And I'm just like to them, just do it. Like the worst that can happen is you go back to the job you were doing before.
I was just going to say, that's probably main part of this podcast, other than telling everybody about how amazing your business is trying to advise people who are thinking, because there's so many people out there that aren't sure, or they're like, well, what can I do? And kind of the point of doing this is to show that, and in an area like ours where there are so many local businesses, it's showing, there aren't really many barriers to being successful. And I guess, that's the biggest point to take away from all of this, really, is that if you've got something you believe in, just go for it and see what happens.
And it doesn't have to be all in or all out. I think a lot of people think when you start a small business, so this one's going to go in first. You're going to pour it like a cake into a tin, into this half, and then you're going to pick that one up, and it's going to go on the other side.
That's the coloured one for the non-video one.
So that's going to go on this side,
This fantastic audio masterpiece you're listening to right now, with me concentrating on not spilling on this lovely table.
Don't worry.
Is pouring the plaster mix with the coleslaw mix
with
in
the
there.
pancake mix.
So
a lot of people think that like if you want to start a small business, you have to basically just like sack off the huge career that you had before. A lot of people I know have started, especially when you look at like businesses that have gone really big, they start off as side hustles. So they do them on the weekends or the evenings, and they grow them really slowly over time. I know loads of people that have really sort of front-facing successful small businesses who have second jobs. Who sort of do other things to kind of top up their time and to sort of feed their mental health in terms of being in a team, because it can be quite lonely working alone most of the time. So they have a job just one day a week so that they're part of a team.
Is that right, by the way?
That's perfect. So keep going, get it all in.
Okay.
That's it.
Again, for the benefit of those who aren't watching a video of this, I'm now pouring
Ben is pouring blue mixture into his silicone moulds to make Jazz a beautiful...
am I making this for Jazz? Okay.
You can
sorry, Jazz. Whatever this monstrosity turns out to be is yours. So there you go.
It's beautiful.
Lovely. Okay. I guess the side hustle element of it is probably the bit that people envisage being the defining feature of it, rather than it then, as it has for you, kind of turned into it being your business.
Yeah, totally. I think the way you plan your business kind of might dictate how quickly you can go full time with it. I don't have a premises, so I don't rent a space. A lot of craft companies, they rent a studio and they host workshops, whereas I'm totally mobile, which means that I can work less but sort of still make a really decent income. And when I choose not to work, I don't have any overheads, so I'm not losing money. So it's now that my husband works a very, very, he's a doctor. He has a very clear job that everybody understands, where he can't, just suddenly wing it or decide he doesn't want to go to work. And lots of friends that I have that are in those kind of jobs are quite envious of being able to just sort of sack off the 9 to 5 and the commute and the annual leave and the being tied to your sort of like
shift patterns.
And the security of a job, and just sort of going at something new. Even if you don't really know where it's going to head to.
It's better to try.
Totally. And actually, probably really cheesily, you learn a lot of it as you're doing it. I never thought that I would design kits, and then I sort of took 6 weeks to do that, and then this whole other side, this kind of school after club thing just sort of came to me, as well as the school years kind of moved on. A few people inquired. So you sort of have to just kind of trust the process. If that's very applicable to crafts and small businesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And being a mum of two.
Yes.
As this has now also seemed to be a recurring theme of businesses in the Herne Hill.
It's a very family-based community.
100%.
Sure.
And it's why businesses like yours do so well,
Yeah.
because it brings out parts of people's lives that they maybe don't have time to do.
Yes.
So I guess for you, as a mum of two, doing all of this as well, obviously you weren't a mum of two when you started, but or 1.5.
1.5.
That's right. Do you find that from your mental health, for your own personal mental health, you can fit everything in and still feel like you can be yourself? Or is yourself now so much of your business that actually...
That's the thing. It's quite hard when you start a business, and I'm sure lots of the others that you've spoken to, you sort of become the brand.
Yeah.
Especially if you start solo, you kind of have this choice whether you just become the whole business. And that's why I sort of took teachers on. I learned really quickly after sort of 6 months of just doing every single workshop that it can't just be me.
No.
I can't be the full face of the business.
Yeah.
And so taking on a couple of teachers has meant that I can really step back, so I don't have to work weekends as often.
Yeah.
It's made me less attached to the business, which is a good thing, because you do live and breathe it for the first year. You sort of you work 27 hours a day to get it off the ground. When you hand it over to someone else, your baby, you sort of realise that other people can run it for you.
Yeah.
And actually trusting other people gives it more longevity, because I won't have to slow down or burn out and then just stop altogether. I can kind of just keep at this pace if I let people help me in the parts they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely... My kids go to nursery, so I'm really lucky. They're 4 days a week I dedicate to Crafty Jezebels. The Monday I'm sort of with 2 kids, but also at the end of phones and laptops. But it's taken me, the success has been learning to switch off, go on holiday and not think about the business.
So do you think that's probably the best piece of advice you could give to somebody who's starting a bit, not even necessarily just a business that's in, I don't want to even say just in crafts, but in commodity, things that you make or you design, just for anyone who's starting a business anyway. Do you think that's the thing you would say is the best advice to give to someone?
Yeah,
to make sure
I think
you make time to step away as well.
Yeah, I think when you start a business, you get to define what success looks like. In a normal job, it might be money or promotions. When you start, if it's that you wanted more time, then make sure that you keep that as your success thing, because you can easily go down one route where you just keep working. I think for me, success was having time for myself in the week, being able to exercise, being able to go on holiday when I wanted to. If you kind of get that as your kind of opening kind of business plan, let's say for you, or personal business plan, and you stick to that, then you'll always feel really successful. If you decide and you sort of chop and change and decide, actually, I really want to make money here, well, then you're going to probably, the other success, which was time, is going to kind of go on the back burner.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of keep coming back to what it was that's made you start the business, and staying true to that if that's, what you want success to look like for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think everyone's experiences of running their own business or starting their own business is so individual. And so the advice, I think, has been really useful. And even for me, starting the part of the business that I've started, the social housing consultancy, I would say the same thing. My goal in that was very defined by my own expectations.
Yes.
It's very fortunately starting to take shape. So setting your own goals and parameters is obviously really important.
And that's the big luxury of running your own business, is that I get to say this week, this is what success is going to look like, and next week.
You do it weekly.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes I do see the year as a big picture, which helps me to kind of ride quieter periods in the year.
Yeah.
But generally each week, if the goals are small and achievable, I feel really successful all the time. If it's like I'm going to make 100k by the end of the year, I'm kind of setting myself up to fail.
By the end of the week, right?
Yeah, in a really good week, in December.
Yeah.
But if I do it weekly, then I kind of feel really in control.
Yeah.
And I can slow down and speed up as I like without feeling like I'm sort of betraying the original success goal for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is basically, I feel like really chuffed now that a year and a half in, I'm able to kind of give lots of friends advice on maybe switching up into a self-employed sort of small business, but also look back and see that I've come a really long way really quickly, but not too quickly. So I haven't burnt out yet. There's been no burnout.
And that's good.
And it's not on the horizon, because I generally don't work too hard. I don't have energy to,
I feel like energy is not something that you have an issue
No,
with.
you're right. It's all
genuinely
relative.
one of the most energetic people that I've ever met. So it's a very inspiring story. Genuinely, and I said this to you when I first approached you about this, when I kind of thought about wanting to do this, your business and you were the first person that
Oh,
I
that's
thought
really
of.
nice.
Just because I think it's such an amazing kind of timeline that you've not even really set yourself. Like, it's all been very realistically focused.
Yeah.
And you've done an amazing job to get
Thank
to
you.
where you are.
Yeah.
So I think that's incredible.
Thank you.
I can't attest to the product that I've made from here today.
No, it's going to be great.
What's next for the business, do you think?
The next step for me is kind of going back to my roots, which is education.
Okay.
So I've been writing after school clubs, and I'm going to write a scheme of work for maybe secondary education.
Okay.
Materials, an amazing material to work with kids. And I feel like I can't let that bit go. I did 13 years of school, so I know it. I know it inside out, and I kind of know what would kind of get kids excited. Getting that side of the business going would be amazing. So in the next year, I'd love to get into loads of schools locally, especially in Lambeth, to get kind of after school clubs going and to get a few sort of little like taster days. Yeah, that's the next bit of the business.
Well, for anybody who may have people they know in schooling of some description, if I can do it, then children who are more than maybe 3/4 of my age will be a lot better at it than I am. That's not what I thought I would.
What did you think I was going to say?
Well, you told me a while ago when we were having a chat about this about franchising.
Yes.
Things,
oh my gosh, yes.
Is a complicated beast in itself. This seems like an organic growth for you with what you've said about where you've come from. And I think it lends to my skills a bit more. The thought of franchising feels like taking a small business to being a really big business, and I'm actually really happy to keep it small and just kind of grow it within itself while it becoming this kind of like beast that I can't control. Well, you've got two beasts at home.
I know, exactly. Right? I just want to keep it very local in my local community.
But have you seen any local community events? You've done a few local community events before.
Yeah, like loads of makers markets and like there are loads of nice fairs. And I think school fairs as well, a lot of them really want like craft workshops and things like that. So I think it's just kind of marrying together the two different communities now that I've got. And also working with companies that kind of, I would love a pay it forward kind of thing where when I have a corporate workshop, that helps to fund the school workshops. Amazing. So that it can be really like kind of socially equitable. Okay. That would definitely sing to the kind of community side of the business for me. Yeah.
And where's the next event going to be?
My next event is actually, I'm going to Birmingham.
Cool.
So I work for a ceramic company. They do a lot of architecture entertainment. So I do a lot of kind of terrazzo workshops. And they have a Birmingham branch. So I'm actually branching out for them. And going to run them at different centres for them across the country. They go all the way up to Scotland. Wow. So now it's like Crafty Jezebels on tour. So I basically just got to like get a fast train to Birmingham and do this. Yeah.
You're not going to wear the Malia style t-shirts with the nickname on the back
just
on
me.
tour.
Just me and loads of luggage. So I'm going to start branching out around the country.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's wicked. It's really cool.
Yeah. So that's the next step. Teaching and Jezebels on tour.
Jezebels on tour. Yeah.
Do you have to put the crafty bit in first?
Yes.
I have to ask. Name.
Yes. So Jezebels, obviously, the kind of old Jezebels was quite a sassy character in history.
Yep.
And jesmonite and Annabelle and Jezebel all kind of comes together to form a kind of very good like brand image of kind of sassy, creative women and men crafting.
I don't know about the sass bit.
But it's just kind of about being like really free when you're crafting and kind of not putting any kind of preconceptions on it, but just basically being able to do whatever you want. And that's kind of what I hope the workshops give to people.
Well, I enjoy doing it.
Good.
How long does it take once you made it?
It takes about 15 minutes to cure.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's that quick?
Yeah. It's an eco concrete, so it effectively cures at room temperature, so it'll be ready in 15 minutes.
I feel like I literally sound like we're on a shopping channel. Is that how long it takes? Really?
And just like that, you've got a piece.
Need to decide what to do with it. Honestly, Annabelle, as I've said it at the start, I'll say it again. I think it's such an amazing job that you've done.
Thank you.
The business is awesome. And I would recommend it to anybody. For what it's worth, it's really fun. And it's usually in a place where you can get a good drink as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Thank you.
I honestly really enjoyed it. Look out for your next workshop. Check the handle, which is
Crafty Jezebels.
Another easy one to remember. And check out where your nearest one is. You'll have a great time. And thank you so much. It's been great.
It's been lovely.
Right. Thank you very much. And I will speak to you again soon. Thanks.